If you travel and you want your budget to stay predictable, then this video is for you. Today I'm going to be talking about some things that are changing in the laws around how travel-related industries can charge. I'm going to talk about what hidden fees might still slip through under the new laws, how AI is changing the way that travel pricing happens, and what you can do to stay informed about all of this. And it's something that's going to affect your bottom line and affect the way that you budget and plan for travelling. So stick with me. Hi, I'm Justine, the nerdy half, and today I'm out moving again. This time I found a bush track in Whangarei, North Island, New Zealand. Welcome to anyone who's here for the first time. If you haven't met me before, I'm a constant traveller. I just love to move and see the world. But I also like to keep myself informed, so I check up on what's happening in the travel world. And I keep you guys updated too. So coming back to New Zealand for a few months to visit family, one of the first things I was warned about was to check for surcharges when I paid for something with card. This kind of surprised me because we've actually long been a not entirely cashless society, but we moved into card payment very early on. But now I'm being told there's a surcharge of around 1.5 to 3% even when I'm making face-to-face over-the-counter purchases. Apparently this is to cover the interchange fees that banks are charging the stores. This really did surprise me, and I'm the nerdy half. I need to know exactly what's going on, so I did my research. And it turns out the banks are a bit surprised too, because that's not what they're charging the stores. A lot of stores have been topping it up a bit, just a little bit of extra padding, shall we say. And they've been charging one flat surcharge fee, and it exceeds what they need to actually pay in interchange fees to the banks. So much so that the New Zealand Commerce Commission has estimated that in the past year, New Zealanders have paid out over $65 million in, their words, unfair excessive surcharges. That's not on. When I did the research, I came across a term I hadn't heard before, junk fees. I might not have heard it, but I've experienced it a lot, and so have you. So junk fees are all of those hidden fees that you didn't see when you first checked the price online. But you know what I'm talking about, right? Anyone who uses aeroplanes is now fairly familiar with having to pay to choose their seat. Many major carriers are now adding the seat fee on after you've selected the flight, and the seats could range anywhere from $7 to $50. Personally, I preferred it when it was all just included in the price, but at least now I have the option, because there are still numerous examples where junk fees are added on after you've already committed to the booking. One common example of this is Wi-Fi fees in resorts or hotels. Many hotels are advertising their Wi-Fi as free, but once you get there you discover the free Wi-Fi is actually only accessible in certain public areas, or it's a very basic speed or inconsistent connection. And if you want to get better quality internet, you're going to have to pay a fee, often an exorbitant one. I'm not a fan of cruise ships, but apparently they are notorious for this, sometimes charging up to $30 a day for Wi-Fi. And it has actually happened to me on a boat ship, a ferry to be exact, when we were taking the ferry from England to Spain. We purchased tickets and we pretty sure we saw free Wi-Fi written on all the advertising and promotion. So we actually purchased a particular place within the boat where we would have quiet seats so I could work. It's a 30-hour trip, needed to do my online work. But when we got there, we discovered that the free Wi-Fi was really only in the busy cafes, and it still wasn't strong enough to allow any Zoom connections or anything decent that I needed to get my work done. In the special seats that we had booked in advance, we had to pay a premium to get Wi-Fi access. Similarly, lots of hotels are advertising things like pool access, airport shuttle, and it's not till you get there that you find that there's an extra charge for these things. And sometimes you're not even charged for them until you go to check out, when you've got a taxi there waiting for you to take you to the airport, when you don't have time to argue it. It really spoils a holiday when the budget has been blown unexpectedly. And it's been happening too many times to too many travellers. So governments are stepping in. Just next week, 1st of December 2025, here in New Zealand, the government's bill regulating the bank interchange fee comes into effect. The fee for domestic credit cards will be 0.3%, and for debit cards it will be 0.2%. Now that's important for you to know. It suddenly makes those 1.53% look way out of proportion. And it might even start empowering you to question some of those surcharges. But you won't even have to question it for long, because from May 2026, there is going to be a ban on most of the surcharges on Visas, MasterCard and EFTPOS payments. This is estimated to save New Zealand consumers and our international guests up to $150 million per year. And we're definitely not the only country on this trend. Since May 2025, the US Federal Trade Commission has been targeting junk fees, especially in the travel industry. They have a rule now that hotels, short-term rentals and live event bookings have to show you all the charges up front. This includes resort fees, cleaning fees, any service charges, anything extra they have to tell you in advance. The goal is to eliminate price dripping, another new term for me, but basically all those extra add-ons that drip into that final cost, because they know it's not fair on the consumer. You can't compare prices in advance if you never know what the actual final cost is going to be. So in the US, they're taking this seriously, and companies that are violating the rule face heavy penalties. In Europe, it's similar, and their regulations have been in place for a couple of years now. The European Union's consumer protection framework requires that all charges, including additional fees and taxes, must be shown in the price upfront from the beginning. And this is whether you're paying in store or online. So all of this helps the consumer stay empowered and helps us travellers know our rights when it comes to pricing. Now there is an unfortunate side effect. It does mean that you're going to be giving a lot more information out when you originally make your booking. Particularly in the EU and especially in Italy, there's going to be a requirement for a lot of detail, lots more information. And this might start to feel a little bit intrusive, but it's there to help us. This helps the government to track the practices. To stay compliant, hotels have to give all this data to the government so that regulators can double check that everyone is being charged fairly. It helps them keep an eye on dodgy providers and stops people trying to sneak through the system with unregistered stays. So while it does make the booking process take a little bit longer, it is in the end to help us and keep us more secure. As for Asia, their approach to pricing transparency is a bit more of a mixed bag. Japan, for example, from July 2025 rolled out dual pricing. This means that popular attractions like ski resorts, theme parks, just tourist attractions are allowed to charge extra, a different ticket price for international guests. The idea is to stop overcrowding and to keep up with the maintenance, but it has of course raised a bit of debate. South Korea tourism is booming post-pandemic, and now they're starting to see a little bit of issue around pricing transparency and are starting to address that. And Singapore are also now bringing in more regulations around making sure that taxes, for example, GST, are included in the initial price. So across Asia, you're going to see a real mix. And if you're sticking to a budget, it pays to stay quite vigilant, keep an eye on what you're being charged for. And I'm going to give you some tips a little bit later on how to avoid places that are going to give you those junk fees. So with all the new regulations and rules coming out, travel businesses are starting to shift gears, and they're using this transparency as a marketing tool. You might start seeing ads and promotional websites that say, no hidden fees, all-inclusive pricing. This is because they're no longer allowed to do this. It's more about keeping in touch with the law than being thoughtful to their customers. Because honestly, from mid-2026, they're not going to have much choice. By then, most countries will have brought all these regulations into place, and pricing should be much more transparent for everyone. But in the meantime, companies are now using AI to personalize what you see during your booking experience. So this means they might automatically suggest certain rooms or certain services and not show you the full options. They might automatically choose seats or hotel rooms for you and include them in the full price, personalizing your choices based on your past activities. And those all-in packages you're going to see more and more of, yep, they will help you with your budget, but they may have already upsold you without your knowledge, i.e. the package is probably going to contain what the business wants you to want, definitely not the bare minimum. You'll be subtly upsold to tailored experiences, and you might miss out on special deals, budget options that you didn't even know were there. It's the trade-off between ease and convenience and having a full menu of options to choose from. And while there's still going to be all of this new rules and regulations, there will still be some exceptions and loopholes which you need to be aware of. Yes, all mandatory charges will have to be upfront and stated from the beginning, but recommended options can still be added on later. So this is things like insurance or priority boarding. Having a seat is not an optional extra. But another loophole is that companies can inflate the price of those mandatory base items and then discount the optional extras. So it gives you the illusion of getting a better deal when you scale up. So ultimately, while the regulations are going to benefit us greatly, we still need to stay savvy, alert, and vigilant. So I've got a few tips for you. Firstly, use desktop rather than mobile devices to make your online bookings. Website creators can change the layout and what's displayed on screen depending on whether or not it's on a full landscape screen or the smaller portrait screen. So this is a great excuse to put all those extra add-ons in small little numbers at the bottom of the screen on a mobile device. Tricky, huh? Another little tip, if you're searching reviews, which I always encourage, see if you can use search terms like fees, charges, Wi-Fi, cleaning. You might find some little hidden extras in there that other people have experienced. So this is where the online review process comes in really handy. But there is a caution around that too. I'm not trying to encourage you to call out companies before you've tried some kind of official dispute resolution. Your first point of call should always be the customer services at the company itself. Sometimes they will refund your fees, especially if you point out the consumer rights and the laws that you are now informed about. But if the company is not helpful, please do go to the official channels. And keep in mind, if only the company that's dealing with complaints, they might just sweep it under the carpet and other customers will fall for the same thing. Which brings me to my next tip, which is screenshot every process of the transaction. Keep all your receipts and your emails. It's tedious and all those screenshots can clog up your phone, I know, but it really is important. And again, I've had experience here myself. I got caught in a fraud, and this is another video I've done about travel scams, travel frauds that you might want to check out. But because I had screenshots of all the different steps of the process, I could take that to the police, I could take it to the bank and make a formal complaint. The most help you can be is by making an official complaint. Consumer complaints actually play a much bigger role than people realise. I mean, that's why some of these new regulations are coming in the first place. Government agencies and consumer watchdogs do keep an eye on this. They look for patterns, and when issues stack up, they address it. An example here in New Zealand, continuous consumer complaints about airlines like Jetstar not being upfront about the compensation rules led to immediate investigations and an in-depth look at how things were happening. And it brings attention so that everyone's a little bit more aware of what's going on. Not only does it help highlight those that are not following the rules, it also shows us where there might be rules that are missing, where new regulations are needed. So it's not just about getting yourself a refund, It's about helping regulators and the rest of us understand what is going on and how can we make it fair for everyone. Just raises the accountability level. So while the process of making a complaint is often slow and tedious, I really do encourage you to do so. And I've got a huge list in the description below of the different regulating bodies in various countries you might want to visit. Calling it out really helps everybody. If you do get hit with hidden fees, please leave it in the reviews, at the very least. Reputations are incredibly important to companies, and we don't want to hurt a business that doesn't deserve it. But at the same time, we do want to protect each other. So global travel online forums are another great place to get information and to share your experiences. And you can start here with this video. Please leave me a comment below because I would like to hear your experiences and your thoughts. And while you're there, don't forget to hit the notifications bell and subscribe if you haven't already, because I'm going to keep updating our YouTube community, letting you know as new rules and regulations come out. Because of course, none of this is going to stop us traveling. And now we've got the info, we can be even more confident when we make our bookings. So I'll get back to you next week with some more travel updates and news. I'll have no idea where I'll be, but wherever it is, I hope you'll join me there. Until then, happy travels everyone.